Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach, brought to you by the TeacherCast Educational Network. If you are in charge of professional development and looking to build an innovative digital learning experience, this is the podcast for you. Join us each week as we uncover strategies that tech coaches are using to drive their digital transformations one classroom at a time. And now for your host, with over 2 decades of experience working with tech coaches and ed tech companies from all around the world, Jeff Bradbury.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the TeacherCast Educational Network. My name is Jeff Bradbury. Thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast your home for professional development. This is Ask the Tech Coach podcast, episode number 147, and today we are going to be talking all about document cameras. Not only just document cameras, but ways to use document cameras in your classroom with your teachers. I have a great friend today from Aver USA to talk all about not just what we can do with our document cameras, but also some of these great point-to-click cameras you might have been seeing recently. We've put out some great episodes on our TeacherCast YouTube channel about something called a DL30. It is an amazing camera, and you guys are going to love using it in your classrooms. I hope you guys are having a great summer so far. Lots of good stuff here at the TeacherCast Educational Network has been going on. Our YouTube channel's been going crazy. Our blog posts have been going crazy. Lots of amazing things here. Hope you guys have a chance to check that out. And of course, don't forget that we are here each and every Monday bringing you guys professional development. So today I want to introduce my good friend from Aver USA, Mr. Grant Wood. Grant, welcome to the show. Welcome to Ask the Tech Coach.
I'm doing great, Jeff. Thanks so much for having me.
It is so great to have you. Today, we're talking all about that digital classroom, creating an environment where teachers can be supportive of both their students in the classrooms, but also the ones out of the classrooms. And of course, as we're recording this right now, we have just finished an amazing school year where teachers were doing just that and so much more. Talk to us a little bit about what you've seen this year happening in modern classrooms.
You know, I'll tell you, as we all know, the last year and a half or so has been just absolutely unprecedented for education, for companies like us, and all around. And I think the one thing that we've really taken from all of this is that, and especially in the classroom and with regards to education, now that we have the tools to know how to do a distance or hybrid learning type of a scenario, I think that there are places for it moving forward. And obviously, as we know, as hopefully cross our fingers that this pandemic is starting to slow and calm down, that realistically, at some point, now that we understand how to do this and go about it forward by maintaining a hybrid scenario or hybrid option, that's where we're sort of looking to the future. So we're always going to now have kids back in the classroom. So that's a given. But it looks like there's still going to be a need, whether it's temporarily, once in a while, or on and off, to still be able to attach to remote learners. And whatever the future holds, we don't know, but now we know that we're better prepared to move forward in the future.
I think that's one of the most accurate statements that we've had here on the show is preparing for what you know, but also preparing for what you don't know. I mean, I know here in Connecticut, the governor basically said no hybrid learning. I think in New Jersey, they made the same law. I'm sure that's happening across the country here, but yet there are still buildings that are needing to have a hybrid model, whether it be for board meetings or assemblies or, it's so easy these days now to have the assembly come into the school, but now mom can see it from afar. We've been working together over the last few weeks on collaborating on certain videos, I guess you would say. We did a little online course of how to use some of the great products. But before we get into the specifics here, talk to us a little bit about some of the things happening at Aver and Aver USA.
And right now today, we haven't necessarily shifted our gears. And again, going back to the beginning of this pandemic, Aver, for a lot of you that know us out there, we're probably best well known for document cameras for the classroom, small, portable, very high-powered document cameras. We're also very great with device charging carts. Of course, that's in classroom for student devices. But we actually have a long history of distance learning and video conferencing solutions. And so when the pandemic hit, obviously it was easy for, say, higher ed or for corporate to transition into more of a remote mode because they've been doing this for so long. K-12 was a different scenario. And the one thing that we really found that absolutely just happily surprised us is that educators are extremely creative and resourceful. And so when this pandemic first hit, nobody knew what to do. Nobody knew how to do it. We knew that we had to go remote. We knew that we had to figure out ways to continue to address remote learners without breaking the curriculum. And so one of the first things that teachers did was they grabbed their document camera. So the document cameras are so cool in the fact that, number one, they're small, they're portable, but they can easily be taken home. They can be taken home to continuously be used as a document camera or even a high definition webcam. So they started using these document cameras for those two purposes, but also to start recording lessons, posting them on their teacher pages. So again, remote students could not only address live curriculum, they could go back and review material as their teachers posted them online. Now, of course, with our video conferencing solutions and our auto tracking solutions, these were already used in higher ed in an education environment. So these cameras that we already offered were already developed for education purposes. Now, one thing that I think that a lot of the educators in schools and districts found is that so many of the remote distance learning type of camera solutions were literally designed for the boardroom. They're designed for, maybe 10, 20 people sitting around a conference table where nobody's moving, everyone's speaking in turn. And so that's how they were specifically designed. But on our side, because we have been developing these camera solutions for education environments, they're much more better designed for an education scenario, for a classroom, for a large classroom with many kids that are in there and also many kids that are at home. So the way that these cameras were designed were to specifically follow the educator, the teacher, and not be distracted by other students in the classroom that may be speaking out of turn, maybe making other noises. So that's kind of where we ended up moving forward with this. And as this progressed, that's where we saw the biggest graph on that kind of technology, is that now educators have a way to have a camera system that is hands-free, that is out of the way from being tripped on, from students messing with them, and they can just continuously teach their lessons for both their students in class and their remote learners simultaneously without missing a beat.
One of the things that school districts have been looking for is the ability to create, I'll say, one of two scenarios. One is a situation where the classroom has all this stuff built into it. Maybe it's on the ceiling, on the wall. The other, of course, is the classroom that needs to be portable. A teacher takes something with them. And, we've been checking out the different equipment here, specifically one of your amazing document cameras and this DL30 camera. Talk to us a little bit about first the document camera. I love the fact, as you said, it is a doc camera. You can use it to point down, but it's also a webcam, which I don't think many teachers are noticing is that you can actually use that, move it around and have it set up. So talk to me a little bit about what should we be looking for in document cameras as we're, purchasing these things over the summertime for our entire school.
And I think one of the biggest things to look out for is portability. I mean, again, we're not going to know how this is going to pan out in the next year, 2 years, and whatnot. And we could very well end up in another lockdown situation where teachers now have to move back to home to teach. But the good thing is that we have the tools to do it. So making sure that literally the document camera that you're referring to would be the M5, which is our smallest document camera, and it folds up and literally can be basically put in a backpack, a purse, or whatever, and just be taken home with them. The other cool thing about the document camera is that, number one, it is a high definition camera, and the camera head itself can easily be flipped from dock cam position, pointing down to your content, or flipped up, turned around and to face you, or even turned back around to maybe if you have a whiteboard behind you, maybe you have a monitor that you want to show other content on. You can literally use this camera and move the camera anywhere where you need that direction to be picking up the curriculum. And that's kind of the step one is, let's say we do go into another lockdown. Maybe it's only 2 weeks, whatever, but you can take these home and continue your curriculum as if you were still in the classroom.
And you can see here that these are very, very easy, very durable too. I could put this thing in my backpack and take it around with me. I love the fact that everything is clean here. And roughly, what does it take to bring one of these home with us? What's the price on this?
List price on that one is $139.
Now, the other thing that we've been looking at is this guy right here, this DL30 camera. And I know many of you guys are listening. We're going to make sure we have links to everything here. But this thing is a beast of a camera. You can mount it. You can use it with your Ethernet. You can use it with your HDMI, with your USB camera here. What am I looking at right here, Grant?
So this is one of our latest auto tracking cameras. So the DL30 is basically meant to be mounted somewhere towards the back of the classroom. Now, depending on how your classroom is set up, you can have it on a tripod pointing towards the teacher, the educator. And basically what this camera does is it uses artificial intelligence in order to effectively track full or half body movements. So the biggest difference between this kind of auto tracking and, say, a standard conference room camera, which typically comes with voice tracking, is that this does not rely on voice to track. So this will also avoid the potential of, if an educator is using PPE gear, a mask, to where if a standard camera is using facial tracking, those PPE masks can literally skew the performance of the camera. So this does not rely on that. It can be set to actually go and just automatically track the teacher. And these could be mounted from the ceiling, pointed down. They can be on tripod. They can be mounted to the wall or on a shelf. So it's very easy. Plus, the one thing that camera has is a very powerful 12 times optical zoom. So even if your classroom is 30, 40 feet long, this thing is going to zoom in on you so clearly that your students at home are going to feel like they're back in the classroom.
I agree. Like I love the fact that something like this can be used in a traditional classroom that's, 30 by 30, or even in an auditorium situation. I know I've talked to some school districts that are using these in their conference rooms and their boardrooms for meetings of all different kinds. There's just a lot of things that you can do here. When a school district's looking to outfit their entire building, what does a traditional purchase of this look like? Is it best to just go purchase things? Can they call Aver and say, look, this is what we're looking to do? What do you suggest? How does that relationship start between the school district and the company?
Well, essentially, we are always open to, if school districts want to contact us directly, we will absolutely guide them through the purchasing process. And typically with solutions like this, and especially if you're looking at a school or district-wide implementation, we don't necessarily sell directly to school districts. So we have a network of partners that we use. And those partners that we use will not only finalize the purchase of the product, but it will also help with the installation, implementation in their schools and classrooms. So that's where it's all rolled into. But we are here to guide them to the right partner, the right purchaser, the right integrator to do this from start to finish.
Now, let's take a step back here. Once we have all this equipment and it's in the classrooms, really the next step is to make sure that our teachers have the ability to use that. And that's where our tech coaches come in. That's where our professional development department is there to provide that training. How do you suggest school districts create that professional learning environment? Because it's one thing to say it's a camera, go have fun. It's another thing to say, here's a way to teach a lesson, maybe in a way you're not used to teaching it. Talk to us a little bit about the PD aspects and what we can do to be successful once we have these devices in our classrooms.
That's a great question. And one of the things that Aver has really focused on over the years, regardless of what product it is to focus on that professional development. We all know that technology is a wonderful thing when it's put in a classroom, but if teachers really don't understand how to use it, it's just not going to be used. And that even goes down to document cameras, tracking cameras, whatever products they're using. If they don't understand, then it's just not going to be used. So what we've done is we've developed actually a professional development program. And our lead professional development manager, Mr. Chuck Tuck, who you've actually had on here before, and I think that we'll see him again at some point, is he actually runs custom professional development programs for school districts that are purchasing these products. So what he will do is typically during non-COVID times, he actually flies out and he will go into a school and classroom and physically show teachers and educators how to integrate this into their curriculum. Right now, we're still a little bit remote. So he records videos, he does webinars, he does custom professional development programs for these specific school districts, so they know exactly how to set these things up and also how to use them on a day-to-day basis. And the great thing about these tracking cameras is really once they're set up the first time, they're on autopilot. So they're just going to start every time you hit go. They're just going to go, and the educator doesn't need to think anything about it. And that's the beauty of this product, is that once we get that first stage done, then it's hands-free and worry-free, and they can just go and do their curriculum.
Grant, what happens if a classroom has more than one teacher in it? Are these things specific to a login or to a human or something that they're wearing? Or how do we deal with multiple people on one device?
That's a great question. And so you can actually set it upon initial setup to do a couple of different ways of tracking. Number one is the teacher tracking, the full or half body tracking. Number two, you can actually set it up for zone tracking. So this tracking will actually, if you have two teachers in the room that are, say, moving in different directions, then it will go to whoever is moving at one particular time. The camera can be set to track that movement itself, or you can set it up to 6 zones. So let's say that you have one teacher that's typically over here, one that's over here. It'll automatically track based upon the movement of that teacher and then go to that zone. The great thing about the zone tracking as well is that you can also set it for other areas of your classroom. So you can set it to then also zone in on your IFP. Say you've got a lot of content coming up on your IFP. Maybe you're going to move over to your dry erase board. These can be set in predetermined zones to where they'll automatically just go to that spot and then not even have to worry about, is it tracking me? Is it moving? Is it following? It's just going to go to one of those 6 zones as you move towards it.
Now, one of the things that we're going to do, if you click on the description below, or if you check out the blog post over on Ask the Tech Coach episode 147, we're going to put a link to all the videos that Chuck and I had the opportunity to do recently, where you can see all of those different things. And we're also going to be linking to how you guys can reach out and get a little bit of Chuck in your school. Grant, where can we learn more about the great things happening at Aver? What is that website and social media address?
The website would be averusa.com/education, and that'll take you directly into all the education pages. There's a lot of great resources on that site, not just product information, but also especially hybrid research information on distance learning and all sorts of other resources, like a lot of Chuck's videos too as well. And social media, you can find us at Aver USA on all the major social media channels.
Well, Chuck, damn it, almost. You're not Chuck.
Not today, I'm not.
Almost one take.
But that'll be an easy cut, though.
That'll be an easy cut, right? Let's cut right here.
All right.
Well, Grant, thank you so much for taking the time and sharing all this great stuff with us. I hope you guys have a chance to not only pick up the document camera, but also check out that great DL30 camera. So many great things from Aver Media. And I hope you guys have a chance to check out all the stuff happening over at TeacherCast.
Got to redo that one.
I did it again, didn't I? We're going to try that one more time. Thank you.
I'll tell you, we've been our companies have been split since 2008, but it happens all the time. I mean, being confused with Aver Media, we are literally 2 separate companies, but it's funny. I mean, it's hard to make that. I really think that we should have had Aver Information as like a whole different name, but whatever.
Let's try that one more time. Well, Grant, we want to say thank you so much for joining us today and making TeacherCast a part of your professional development. We hope you guys have a chance to check out the great document cameras and also the amazing DL30 camera. I've been playing with this thing for the last couple of weeks. It is awesome. And I got to say, this document camera is amazing. I've been not only doing it for PD, but I've also been allowing the Edu triplets the opportunity to play with this thing as a camera they are loving it. Easy to use, nice USB connection. Check out all that stuff today. And I hope you also have a chance to check out all the stuff at Aver USA. The links and stuff are below the YouTube here. And of course, this is episode number 147 of Ask the Tech Coach. Thank you guys, making TeacherCast your home for PD. And on behalf of Grant and everybody here in the TeacherCast Educational Network, my name is Jeff Bradbury, reminding you guys to keep up the great work in your classrooms and continue sharing your passions with your students.
You've been listening to Ask the Tech Coach, hosted by Jeff Bradbury of the TeacherCast Educational Network. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter at AskTheTechCoach or online at www.askthetechcoach.com. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.